Welcome. The third eye in ancient Egypt was known as the seat of the spirit or the soul, and used as a route to higher awareness and consciousness. Buddhists relate it to spiritual awakening, and Hindus to intuition and clairvoyance. The eye of Horus, the eye of Shiva, the straight poised snake of the caduceus, or the horn of the unicorn. It is the biblical eye. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. So the third eye is an organ of true vision that opens in direct response to the spiritual development of the individual. And that's key. That's really key. I'll repeat that. It is an organ of true vision that opens in direct response to the spiritual development of the individual. But first, I want to explore this world of the senses, the two eyes, the material world that we call reality. We know from ancient wisdom teachings and the scientific conclusions of Einstein and others that we will only truly understand the world when we understand that all is energy and vibration. We know esoterically that which appears real and solid, existing in time and space in our sensory world, is simply energy vibrating at a low frequency. We see, hear, feel, and interact through our senses in this phenomenal world and believe it is real, and many believe it is all there is. But there are other dimensions in which our true nature exists. When we close our eyes and we go deep into meditation, this phenomenal world disappears, and we can contact a peace within, a stillness, an essence we call our soul, that is multi-dimensional, existing in realms in which there is no time and space, all at the same time, at a vibrational frequency beyond the perception of our senses. We cannot see or seek the soul with our normal vision, but we can know and experience its existence on higher planes with our inner vision. In occultism, we call this the nominal world. So modern science confirms that 99.9% of solid matter is made up of empty space. And when they investigate the atoms and subatomic particles that do exist, quantum physicists found that these behave as vortices of energy in constant motion, sometimes behaving as waves, only collapsing into particles of solid matter when viewed by the consciousness of the observer. So from this, we can concur that the material world only exists when we observe it. Esoterically, our nominal soul works through a phenomenal body of matter in the material world. Again, we look to science, and our understanding of normal vision tells us that the dense physical form that we see before us is actually an illusion, as what we see through our eyes is due to the reaction of the eye to light and our brain's interpretation of this electrical energy impulse. What we see is determined by our mind's interpretation of the energy that entered our eye. So the truth is, we are energy beings, light beings, and our true form is our etheric energy body rather than our dense physical body. We are in essence that spark of the divine, that light of the central sun, that God self that is within us all. And in this way, we come to realize and truly understand that we are in the world, but not of it. We know occultly, for example, that our brain is simply a transmitter or receiving station for the impulses that emanate from our mind. And our mind exists only on the mental plane. This is why science still can't find intelligence, memory, instincts, or thoughts in our brain. So our physical bodies are not solid, but composed of vibrating energy. Our mind is not of this world and exists only on the mental plane. And likewise, our emotions that we experience physically, viscerally, and mentally as feelings exist only in our astral body as vibrations. We can conclude that our entire personality vehicle and the material world in which it operates is an illusion. But we are in this phenomenal world of illusion and this low frequency vibrational energy. And that's to realize and remember who we are in truth and embody this higher vibrational energy of the nominal world, the world of the soul, and bring this down into the material world to spiritualize matter. The key to navigating this material world is to accept that it is an illusion, but we are here to heal, to transmute, and to lose our attachment to it, and to therefore realize our God self, our light self, our energy self, who we are in truth. So the power to see the energy substance of all things, we call etheric vision. And this is true vision. And like our etheric energy body is our true body, etheric vision is the true vision for the human being. But until more individuals grow spiritually and our race evolves into probably the next root race to the point where all people can see etherically, our eyes will see and respond to the lower vibrations of the physical matter only. And we will believe that this is the true reality. And I want to share a quote from The Secret Doctrine, Volume 1, page 39, where Madame Blavatsky gives us some real insight into this. Okay. So she says, Maya, or illusion, is an element which enters into all finite things. For everything that exists has only a relative, not an absolute reality. Since the appearance which the hidden nomenon assumes for any observer depends upon his power of cognition. So our mind determines what we see. Nothing is permanent except the one hidden absolute existence, which contains in itself the noumena of all realities. The existences belong to every plane of being up to the highest Diane Chohans and are in degree like the nature of shadows cast by a magic lantern on a colorless screen. But all things are relatively real, for the cognizer is also a reflection, and the things cognized are therefore as real to him as himself. And this is similar, if you're familiar with Plato's idea that what people think is reality is really like the shadows of puppets on the wall of a cave, and people are trapped in this cave thinking it's real, not realizing that the real world out in the light is outside of the cave. So the quote continues, whatever reality things possess must be looked for in them before or after they've passed like a flash through the material world. But we cannot cognize any such existence directly, as long as we have sense instruments which bring only material existence into the field of our consciousness. Whatever plane our consciousness may be acting in, both we and the things belonging to that plane are for the time being our only realities. As we rise in the scales of development, we perceive that during the stages through which we have passed, we mistook shadows for realities. And the upward progress of the ego is a series of progressive awakenings, each advance bringing with it the idea that now at last we've reached reality. But only when we shall have reached the absolute consciousness and blended our own with it shall we be free from the delusions produced by Maya. And she gives a beautiful example. And she said, it's like the impalpable atoms, oh, that should say gold, of gold scattered through a ton of quartz. They may be imperceptible to the naked eye of the miner, yet he knows that not only are they present there, but they alone give his quartz any appreciable value. And this relation of the gold to the quartz may faintly shadow and bring forth that of the nominal to the phenomenal world. So he knows the gold's in there. He can't see it. The quartz is only of value to him because he knows the gold's in there. But the miner knows what that gold will look like when it's extracted from the quartz, whereas the common mortal can form no conception of the reality of things separate from the Maya that veils them and in which they are hidden. So he's saying, the miner knows the gold, what the gold looks like, knows the gold's there, but many will just see the quartz and not even know the gold is there. Whoops, sorry. So she says, alone the initiate, rich with the law acquired by numberless generations of his predecessors, directs the eye of Dhamma towards the essence of things in which no Maya can have any influence. So now that we understand that the opening of the third eye is paramount to true spiritual awakening and a realization of our true nature as light beings, enlightened ones, let's understand more about this organ of true vision. The third eye physically involves the pineal gland, it's found just behind here, the pituitary gland found just under the soft palate, just above the soft palate of your mouth, and the carotid glands found in your throat. And all of these glands must be functioning together for the supervision to be achieved. Imagine that these are the three batteries of a powerful torch that enables man to see the truth. These batteries are charged by chakras, vortices of etheric energy contained within our etheric body that interact with the physical body through the glands. So, for example, the pineal gland responds to light and influences hundreds of hormonal reactions in our body that govern many of its natural rhythms, and especially our rhythms in relation to the planetary and nature's rhythms. This gland developed millions of years ago before the development of our prefrontal cortex, our intelligent reasoning part of our mind, and before the development of our two eyes. This was the eye of the Cyclops in the giants of Lemurian times. Science claims that it's a remnant of an organ left over from the days of amphibians and reptiles. So in normal children, the pineal gland develops until about the age of 7, and then it starts to wither away and atrophy by adolescence. And there is a link occultly in the development of the human from one eye to two eyes, and from the development from hermaphrodite to two sexes. And that's something I'm not going to explore today, but it is linked to this development. Blavatsky suggests the third eye is stored. It's going to be stored for use in eons to come, and in time will reassert itself and emerge as an organ of higher vision capable of supersensory powers. But first, the intellect of man had to be developed and unfold until such a time as the mind is no longer the slayer of the real, and it's no longer the dominant guiding power, and becomes increasingly replaced by the inner vision or the intuition from the higher planes of Buddhi, as these are reawakened in the majority of humanity. But the intellect must first be experienced before it can be transcended. So the third eye is not an etheric chakra, but it's related to 3 chakras found in the head: the ajna, the crown, and a chakra called the altar major. And the altar major is just like the alter ego of the evolved throat chakra, you could think of. So the third eye is not an endocrine gland, but it does relate to the pineal, the pituitary, and the carotid glands. It is actually an etheric organ with a pure lens that emerges with the spiritual growth of an integrated personality. And that's the key. It doesn't develop until the personality is integrated. It develops from the interplay and the radiation of these 3 centers. And this vortex of energy attracts the energies of the Atma, the Buddhi, and the higher manas. And they form a great lens of psychic function. Each of the chakras is like the battery, all must be present and fully charged, so the light or the bulb of the third eye can be switched on. So if you like, the electrical energy for these batteries flows from the causal body, which is the vehicle of consciousness that houses the soul. So in the average man, these energies hardly gain access to the personality. But in the spiritual man, the person following the path of return, they gain access to the aura through the Antakarana, the rainbow bridge. But it is only in developed personalities, integrated and coordinated, tested by initiation, that a stable, open Antakarana presides that can channel ever-increasing forces and energies of the soul into the chakras. Through this process of energizing the third eye, it becomes the instrument of the will of the spirit. All these 3 head centers, the altar major, and the ajna and the crown chakras, form a triangle of amazing potency. And this results in a powerful blending of the 3 main energies of the 3 major rays. So there's a blending of the ray of will and power, the ray of love, wisdom, and the ray of active intelligence. And this latent power of the 3 rays becomes manifest and evident as a blazing light in the centers of in this triangle, these 3 centers in the head. And this enables the soul infused personality to be a director and a synthesizer of these triple energies of these 3 major rays, performing powerful work in service to mankind as they are able to bring through all 3 rays through the development of this third eye. And I just want to share another quote that comes from the treatise on cosmic fire. There it is. One of the fundamental rules back of all magical processes is that no man is a magician or a worker in white magic until the third eye is opened or in the process of opening. Because it doesn't just open, it takes time to develop and open. For it is by means of that eye that the thought form is energized, directed, and controlled, and lesser builders or forces are swept into any particular line of activity. And this hints on one of the major developments when the third eye opens, is this ability to materialize or manifest thought forms. When the third eye is open, the disciple can become clairvoyant, that's able to know information about an object, a person, or a situation through extrasensory perception. They may be clairsentient, which means clear feeling, where they're able to pick up extrasensory knowledge via non-tangible feelings, to tune in to that knowledge, or clairaudient, perceiving as if by hearing that which is inaudible to the human ear. That develops an ability to know, that does not come from any prior knowledge in the world, to see etherically, to know disease states in others, to be aware of major issues pertaining to the life of others, to access past lives, the Akashic records, to be intuitive and live intuitively, to be in touch more with causes than effects, to be aware of dimensions and energies that most people have no awareness of, to connect with others telepathically, and to work very effectively with group consciousness. So these latent powers that are present in all of us become available with respect to the use and understanding of energy for healing, for manifesting thought forms and interacting with life as a spiritual being. But do be aware that the opening of the third eye sensitizes the individual incredibly, such that living, being, and relating in the material world can become extremely difficult. And there is a need to retreat or regularly retreat from all this knowing and awareness, and a need to keep the vibrational energy high, that attunement to that nominal world, attuned to the world of the soul. At this stage, the disciple may become acutely aware on a deeper level of understanding that they are in the world, but not of it. And even a feeling of not belonging, that it starts as a glamour and illusion and is soon surpassed as they realize it's the complete opposite. They completely belong. The third eye will open naturally with personality integration and coordination, and a commitment to living, not just studying or acquiring knowledge of a spiritual life. In this way, the attributes and capacities that open and develop will naturally be used in service for the greater good and service to mankind, as the disciple initiate becomes increasingly aware of their particular part in the conscious evolution they are being asked to play of mankind as a whole. There is considerable question and caution surrounding techniques that prematurely attempt to open the third eye before there is sufficient soul contact or personality integration. And this is because quite serious mental and physical health effects can result. For example, when the third eye is opened using drugs or hallucinogenic substances, it can cause irreparable damage to the brain or burn out the nervous system, or cause symptoms of overstimulation of certain chakras that are not ready for the resulting energies. Or there is always the possibility that the capacities opened may not be used for the greatest good of humanity. Usually, once integration of the personality has been achieved, there is a soul quickening and rapid development. The clairvoyance of an opened third eye is not to be confused with psychism. Now, psychism is an ability to read the astral plane or the astral body of an individual. The psychic realm is, remember, it's only one level above the physical realm. And obviously, we know in theosophy, interpenetrates it to a large extent. So many mediums and psychically sensitive people are able to access this realm. However, caution, because by accessing the astral, one immediately opens up to all the deception, the delusion, and the confusion that abounds, and a vibrational frequency that includes every thought, word, emotion, imagination, experience, and act of humankind, past and present, that ever was. Madame Blavatsky described the psychic realm as the great deceiver and emphasized that psychic vision can never penetrate beyond the astral plane. It's not the same as opening the third eye. So now what I want to do is I want to consider the implications as more aspirants and disciples of the ancient wisdom teachings are moving toward personality integration and potentially building and opening the third eye of true vision. So we know that the majority of the world are polarized in the chakras below the diaphragm. There's minimal soul contact, and they're treading the path of experience and involution. Although I'll put a comment in here, I believe worldwide events in the last couple of years may have played a part in accelerating the numbers waking up and taking that first initiation and steps towards soul contact and starting that process of personality integration. So many in the world today are opening the heart and the throat centers. And, you know, it's partly why we have so many diseases of the heart. Cancer is associated with the opening of the heart. And many are approaching the second initiation. There's often a big gap between the first awakenings of the first initiation and being able to detach into the mental plane and not be controlled by the waters, not drown in the waters of the emotional astral plane, which is really what's required by the second initiation. And so many are gravitating toward opening or vivifying centers from the heart upward, the higher centers. There is a growing understanding, for example, of the need to move energies of the solar plexus chakra to the heart, to transmute the personal to the impersonal, the selfish to the altruistic. When we do this, there's an inpouring, there's a potential inpouring as the heart opens of the Christ consciousness that enables the transmutation of this lower desire nature and an opening to altruistic service that is heartfelt. For example, when anger releases, understanding arises, and forgiveness is found in the heart. When fear of the solar plexus rises up to the heart, it becomes courage, where we still feel the fear, but we do what is right anyway. When an attachment to the material world of the solar plexus chakra or the Swadhisthana, the sacral chakra, is replaced by gratitude for its blessings in the heart. When there is a shift from individual consciousness to the group consciousness that comes as energies rise from the solar plexus to the heart. So that's just a few examples of this process of transmutation. Through study and the focused discipline of meditation, visualization, living a spiritual life guided intuitively from within, the heart energy starts to flow up to the Ajna chakra to vivify and enliven this center. As many turn from their attachment to the material world of form and realize their calling of service to mankind, they open to living and not just citing or talking of their highest ideas and ideals. They begin to recognize the link between thoughts and the agitation of the mind and the body. They start to have the courage to express truth as they understand it, to speak up, to stand up for others, to fight for a cause, to fight for what is right. So the throat center opens and the energies rise eventually to the altar major, the higher self of the throat center, if you like. And then as the personality begins the process of reorganization and realignment, so the individual starts to walk their talk. And this really is the measure of the spiritual development of someone. It's not how much they've read and what they can quote. Do they walk their talk? And when they do, this person, their etheric energy shows this integrity between soul and personality, because the soul can pour energy down through a personality vehicle that is essentially integrated and aligned, vertically aligned. And they become a person of honor, a person you can trust, a person of loyalty and integrity, who lives by their highest principles, values, and ideals, even if it's going against the vast majority of people, even if it makes them unpopular, even if it means they don't fit. And this is really, this is the walking of your talk. This is the personality integration. All parts of you are singing the same tune, sounding the same note, on the same hymn sheet. So this is a within, this is a union, a yoga within. With the increase and prevalence of visualization techniques, meditation, mindfulness practices that are so prevalent in the world now. I know I've been teaching yoga and meditation for about 17 years. And in that time, I have seen a profound change in the popularity. You know, it used to be, you couldn't even openly say you were a yoga teacher without people rolling their eyes and looking at you strangely. Now, it's just normal. You know, it's so acceptable. Even in the last 5 years, there's been a real opening to yoga and meditation in schools, on apps on your phone. Increasingly, it's becoming integrated into our way of living. And this is fantastic. And this means that more people will be opening the crown chakra, starting to open some of those petals, of which there are not just thousands, thousands and thousands. And there's a growing awareness and acceptance of the oneness that connects us all and lies behind all of existence. Even in our language, unity and oneness, and songs about oneness, it's becoming part of common popular culture, this idea that we are one. So like the symbol of the caduceus, these energies move between our chakras up 2 channels, well, 3 channels, but they sort of move between chakras up 2 channels called the Ida and the Pingala. And these are nadis, etheric channels of prana, of etheric energy, subtle energy in the body that terminate in the 3rd eye. Masculine, feminine, yin yang, could do a whole talk just on those. Okay. And eventually you get a flow through the central channel. This is Sushumna channel. And this is the rising of the spiritual forces that raise the forces of fire, that really enlighten the whole being. We're seeing a rise in the awareness of these things. We're seeing practices and yoga and breathing techniques. We're seeing increasingly yoga and breathing techniques coming into psychology, into counseling, into the management of anxiety and depression and this sort of thing. And these, we're seeing people become much more aware of the flow and understanding etheric energy through Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, and many of the healing practices that work in our etheric energy body rather than working directly on the physical body. So this will mean that increasing numbers of people will be living the life of a disciple, expressing the qualities of the soul in their everyday life and interactions, so that right relations within individuals, and that's really what personality integration and coordination is. It's right relations between your soul and your personality, between all aspects of you. All of your different bodies are in alignment and agreement and interplay. but also right relations between individuals becomes possible and increasingly prevalent. We will see an increased expression of the qualities of Atma, of Buddhi, the vehicle of consciousness, and higher manas in the material world, in the manifest world. Atma, and the first great desire for the highest good for humanity. We will see an increasing numbers living to make a difference in their own unique soul-directed way. So this will and power will be characterized by enhanced mental power. And this is not mental development, this is mental power. The discipline of meditation, the mental power that comes from being able to detach from the common view, to discriminate, to detach from the emotions, the tides of the emotions. And also there will become a greater understanding, and people will start to really connect to the wisdom that is universal. Buddhi, when we see an increase in the Buddhi, we'll see an increase of the opening of the higher heart qualities, of forgiveness, of acceptance, understanding, kindness, compassion, impeccability in word, intent, and deed. Think about that one. Are you completely impeccable in your thoughts, your intentions, and your actions? We will see and develop our true understanding of unconditional love and its expression. And this will enable the true qualities of love, wisdom, that wonderful energy that we are living in the solar system, to be expressed through the astral body of more people. The active intelligence of higher manas will pour down into the concrete, logical, analytical lower manas, allowing wisdom to replace knowledge, resulting in the lifting of the mind to the true mental power of the higher self. This is all just as more and more people open these higher centers and work toward the opening of the third eye. So there are many practices and suggested breathing techniques and meditation techniques to augment the development of the third eye. And to be honest, I would suggest that aspirants and disciples of the ancient wisdom teachings focus on personality integration and coordination until you've reached the required level of soul contact, rather than pursuing these techniques. I've found in my teaching of yoga and meditation that those techniques you need tend to find you and come quite naturally as part of a process of personality integration and coordination. As the need arises, so the what you need comes into your life, and it comes quite naturally when you're attuned and walking the path of your soul journey. So as increasing numbers of people develop this organ of spiritual perception, there will be an acceleration of the evolution of consciousness of the whole of mankind. And this will lift the vibrational energy of the masses, enacting profound positive change in all areas of life, from education to politics to our use of energy and resources and care for our beloved planet. We will see profound changes in how we live and interact with each other, and the possibility of the development of right relations in all aspects of human living and endeavor. Communication via telepathy, living in cooperation and true community, evolved leaders, education that includes the ancient wisdom teachings, the nature of the etheric body, meditation, and a return to a true commitment to living with our planet and all living creatures who share her with us in harmony and balance. These are just a few of the ideals that will come into manifestation as more people open the third eye. Because when any one individual raises their consciousness, this raises the consciousness of all. And we know from the excellent work of David Hawkins in his book, Power versus Force, that just one individual resonating at frequencies of love or peace or compassion this is the majority of the time, can raise the vibration of millions who are mired in the lower energies of the astral desire nature. It only takes one enlightened being, one avatar, to lift the energies of all of humanity above a critical level for growth and advancement. And just 15% of the population can counterbalance the negativity of 85% of humanity and save mankind from self-destruction, such as the power of the energies, these higher vibrational energies, as people are opening these higher centers. The opening of the third eye has implications for rapid advances in psychological healing, the healing of trauma and conflict that so mires human relations. If we have aware healers, they can bridge the conscious and unconscious minds. They can be aware of past lives and their influence for people. They can be aware of karma, of causes and effects, helping and facilitating and enabling an acceleration of growth and a reorientation of personalities toward their soul path. Imagine when we have lots of healers working in this way, how quickly people will develop. There opens the potential for the development of direct manifestation of thought with the opening of the third eye. Ideas that advanced initiates can clothe in physical and etheric energy and bring into being. And imagine when they get together and do this in group consciousness. And there have been civilizations in the past that have done this. This could solve all our economic, energy, and resource challenges if used for the greater good. As more individuals open to living an intuitively soul-guided life, we will open to greater communication with the Diva angelic realm, with nature spirits, consciously working with the builders, the conscious awareness of the multitude of dimensions that we work in as souls. People will understand we move between dimensions all the time. We have multiple dimensions in which our soul is operating at the same time. And we open the potential for contact with beings of higher vibrational energies in solar systems beyond ours that we can't see with our naked eye, with our instruments of the naked eye. The changes in vibrational frequency that result when the third eye opens would enact actual physical changes in the DNA of mankind. And this is predicted for the sixth root race and beyond. And this will result in physical bodies that are stronger, more disease resistant, almost a super race of humans. This opening will revolutionize our understanding of health, of prana, of disease processes, and the methods we can use to ultimately rebalance and allow the body's natural healing process to work. For example, psychic surgery will replace physical surgery. But the spiritual awakening of the third eye is never simply for the sole benefit of the individual. It acts as a compass to navigate life here in matter and to help and guide others to heal, grow, and transform. Ultimately, to be of more effective service to others and play a more powerful, effective part in the planetary plan for the evolution of consciousness in our planetary body. So in conclusion, I hope my talk today has opened your mind to the possibilities of where your own and our collective development can go, and inspired you to visualize, to meditate, to discriminate using the powers of the silent witness, to step back from your attachment to the material world, to recognize those parts of you that need healing and integrating, in which you don't walk your talk, and have the courage to seek ways to transmute these energies to seek guidance from your soul and trust your intuition, to practice mindfulness and experiencing our material world as a soul. And this is something many people don't realize. In the practice of mindfulness, in that moment when you are completely present, you are seeing the world as a soul. Next time you meditate, a little exercise which is really good to do. Next time you're deep in meditation, as you're coming out of the meditation and you're starting to let go whatever you were focused on and come back into your physical body, keep your eyes closed. And then have the intention that as you open your eyes, you're going to be completely present and aware and take in everything in that moment. And you will get a glimpse of what the world truly looks like. The light is brighter, the colors are more vivid. You see and take in everything all at once. You hear the minutest sounds. If you're outside in nature, it's profound. You literally hear the crickets, you hear everything. And in that moment, before the mind thought starts, when there is no thought, when you are conscious, you experience the world as it is. And you are experiencing the world as your soul. In that split second of mindfulness, your personality vehicle was not the perceiver of what you are witnessing in the world. You were seeing it as a soul. And it's a good practice because you start to see how beautiful the world is. You start to see with truth, beauty, and goodness. You see the soul in everything in the world. You see that essence that Blavatsky talked about, that absolute reality, just for a split second. And that's enough to keep you going and just to start a true practice of mindfulness. To have the courage to seek ways to transmute those energies. But most of all, to live your spiritual understanding every day through living harmlessly, through fostering right thought, right intention, right action, and nurturing the soul qualities of truth, beauty, and goodness that naturally reside within you, and allowing these to express in the way you live your life and give in service to the world. Thank you for listening. Namaste.